The FBI arrested a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard yesterday, charging him with leaking hundreds of government documents on social media. The FBI says the man was taken into custody as part of an undercover operation called Arrest Somebody, Anybody. The Department of Justice wants to know how a trove of highly classified Pentagon secrets got leaked on social media, and more importantly, why it only got 50 likes. The material that was leaked revealed weaknesses in Ukraine's air defenses and revealed that Ukraine is quickly running out of ammunition. This is top secret information only known by our intelligence agencies or anyone who ever listened to one of Joe Biden's 5,000 speeches begging Congress to spend more on Ukraine. Some of the secrets revealed are that our military spies on our allies like South Korea, Israel, and of course, America's closest ally, the United States taxpayer. Meanwhile, Senator Dick Durbin, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said he will launch an investigation into Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's millions of dollars worth of vacations paid for by conservative billionaire and activist Harlan Crow, who, it turns out today, purchased Thomas's childhood home and plans to turn it into a museum, the Clarence Thomas Museum, where every wing is a nut. Thomas insists he only took the gifts because Harlan Crow has no business before the court. And Harlan Crow has no business before the court only because of all the gifts Clarence Thomas took from him.
You're listening to The David Feldman Show, you happy, self-actualized hump.
Let us go now to New York City, where Colleen Worthman joins us.
Hello, hello.
She's written for all my favorite people, Michael Moore, Steve Martin. You've written The Daily Show, The Nightly Show, the Mark Twain Prize, the Academy Awards, and the Oscars, I believe.
Indeed.
As well, the Oscars and the Academy Awards. And she's been to places like the Netherlands and Holland. I think you've been to both Holland and Netherlands.
Yes,
the Netherlands.
yes. It's true.
You've written for the Comedy Central roasts, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But most importantly, you are teaching our wounded warriors.
I am.
You're not teaching, you're helping them tell their story.
I lead writing workshops.
Right.
With them.
Right. And that
sometimes, not all the time, but it's one of my favorite things that I get to do in my life.
Right. And you have a new dog.
Brand new doggie. This is Julie.
Aww.
She is a rescue. We've had her just under 2 weeks. She is a hound mix. They think she's somewhere between 7 and 10 years old. And she had a big day. So she's very tuckered out right now. I'll bring you down to look at this face.
Yeah, it's just the eyes. And it is better than love that you can get from a human. They can't testify against you. Nobody believes them in court. They're known. I mean, everybody knows dogs lie. So I would say,
let's let sleeping dogs lie.
I would say dogs have given me more pleasure than humans have. If you were to add up.
Well, sexually, obviously. I had to do it, David. The dynamic is back.
My dog left me for another leg. I'm just so. What did I do?
Speaking of dogs and legs, I had the most hilarious experience on the subway yesterday. I was riding down to rehearsal, and there was a young guy with this enormous gray pit bull. It looked like a fucking ox. It was so big and muscular and just like the biggest sweetie, so excited, like tail wagging. I put my hand down, and obviously he could smell Julie, our dog, on me. And then he like jumped up, put his paws on me and like kissed my face. And then he came back like 1 second later and he just started humping my leg. And I was like, oh. And these like teenagers across from me, they were like, oh.
How are the subways? I try to walk everywhere. Do you feel safe on the subways?
Oh, very much so.
Are you worried?
I've also lived here for so long. I don't have resting bitch face. I have active bitch face. So no one messes with me.
Is it more dangerous, or are we being told it's more dangerous? Because I do get a sense. I started reading the New York Post, and you start to think that you're going to get mugged and robbed every time you step. Is it? Do you think the crime is as bad as they say it is?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, the Post is, it's a conservative paper, and it's for, Joey Lunch Pail. Mm-hmm. And they like to, paint this picture of the city as going to hell in a handbasket every single day. So I don't take the Post seriously, except for page 6, which is gospel. And yes. I do like to read the incontinent musings of Cindy Adams, which are only getting more unhinged as she inches closer to death.
Or may already be there.
She may already be dead.
She may.
Her cat might be typing her articles. I don't know. Insane.
I remembered when Black Lives Matter started in 2020, we were on like a 50-year secular low in crime and murder. The crime rates were, the cops were committing most of the crimes. Mm-hmm. It was pretty safe out there as long as you weren't hassled by the cops. And I remember thinking, I know how you can make numbers sing. I know how you can work statistics. And I said, I guarantee you crime rates are going to go up after this summer. They're just going to start reporting crime differently, which you can. I'm not saying people
like they said on The Wire, juking the stats.
Juking the stats? What does that mean?
Sort of arranging them and compartmentalizing them, like manipulating the statistics in a way that paints a certain kind of picture, or, writing up crimes that ordinarily would be ignored because, they're at the end of a budget year and they want to prove that, we need more this and that, more overtime, more whatever.
And there's discretion. If you're a coroner, I'm not a coroner. Well, I amateur. I'm a weekend coroner.
When you dissected my dead father,
yes,
you did a great job.
I thank you. Thank you. And plus, he wasn't completely gone, which made it interesting because I've never actually talked to a cadaver while I was opening them up. And he was very encouraging because he was a chef. So he told me to handle the knife. Mm-hmm. And
tuck in your fingers.
Did your father?
Yes, he actually died February 18th.
Okay, well, I have to do this. Everybody gets one of these.
An air horn?
Everybody gets it. I remember Laura House when I think her father died, and Professor Harvey J. Kaye was on the show, and Laura knew exactly what I was. And she goes, "Yeah, my mother died. She had been very sick." And Professor Kaye got so he didn't realize. But I'm sorry to hear that. I went through that with my mother. My mother died again. She died 10 years ago, came back and died again. No, that's why I say to my sister, everything okay? Did mommy die again? Yeah, I lost my mom in May of last year. And so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When you said he died, my brain, when did he pass away? When did that happen?
February 18th.
February 18th.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have two younger sisters who live in the Twin Cities where my mom is. And my mom and dad were married for 55 years. So she's going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. You know what's amazing to me is,
and she does not want you to keep offering your services as a gigolo to her. She told me to tell you that.
I give it, the first one's free. The first one, it's a freebie.
She told me that you pay her
for the first one. That's what I meant. Then I'm willing to pay her. I want to give it a test drive, see if I like it. And then I'm willing to pay her for my services as a gigolo. That's one of the things I offer as a gigolo, along with my sexual prowess, is money.
Okay. Because
I feel I'm old fashioned that way. I think it's the man should pay for everything, including the sex. I'm old school that way. Wow, 50 to be married, 50 years?
55.
55 years. Mm-hmm. That is, that's amazing. You don't hear of that. You don't hear of that.
No.
Can I ask you, I will tell you that my sister and I did really well as my mother was going. I was kind of, there was teamwork. I said, you hold her arms down and I'll squeeze the neck. We were, but my mother was she was the last thing my mother was making jokes till she kept saying to the nurses, get me out of here. I don't like, and I'm telling you, they were like, it was not and she said, I'll give you $5 to get me out of here.
And 1943 prices.
And I thought that is just so funny that she said $5. So I'll give you $5 cash. She said, I mean, it was it. She stayed funny. In one of the gifts I have is I discovered my mom was hysterically funny. I didn't know that I am more like her than I am my father.
Interesting.
And I didn't know that my mother was sarcastic and biting.
You only realized this when she was on her deathbed?
No. In her in the last 20 years. I go, she doesn't mean what she's saying. She's being funny. I would, as a child, I might have taken her literally.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the happiest memory you have of your dad?
Well, I actually talked about this in my eulogy. One of my absolute favorite memories of my dad is from when I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. He was in the backyard grilling, and he was wearing like his kind of kooky weekend gear, which was a T-shirt that his culinary students had given him that said "Cowabunga," which he would. That was like his catchphrase. Like somehow he discovered the phrase "cowabunga," and then he used it all the time. And when he was teaching his students, so they gave him a T-shirt that said "Cowabunga." Khaki like work pants that had been cut off into shorts that like they were covered with like oil stains and paint splatters and stuff.
Right.
And he's from Germany originally. So, white socks pulled all the way up to the knees and black, like work shoes that he had cut the heels out of to make like clogs. And he had 2 sets of tongs. And he was like dancing this little jig and like clicking his castanets, going taran 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 taran.
That's great. Can you give that memory to my kids so they have that of me?
Absolutely.
They have no happy memories of me like that.
Have them email me and I'll tell them all about you.
I think my kids' happiest memory is me not yelling at the cable company. like just going over the bill with the cable company and not screaming at them at the top of my lungs. Well, your dad, chef, and
he taught people how to be chefs. Yeah.
And how are you as a chef and as Gardner a chef?
We're both pretty good. Yeah. I definitely am more like experimental. Gardner is like, he sticks to his things that he's good at. Sometimes he'll do like a recipe from a cookbook or something, but he's very good at cooking meat, which is not my favorite thing to cook. And I do a lot of the other things.
And what's the best meal your father ever made?
Oh God, so many. It's hard to say. I mean, there were a lot of fun meals. There was like
what's the worst meal? What's the worst meal he ever made where you all had to pretend you liked it, or you came clean and said, this is just.
Okay, well, so he would teach his students like old school French technique things, right? And they had a public dining room at the school where, you know, people could come and do like a sort of buffet lunch, or, you know, sometimes they would do service. Anyway, one of the things that he would make with them was sweetbreads and cream sauce. And to me, it was always really gross.
That's intestines.
No, it's the thymus glands and the pancreas of a calf.
The thymus that produces hormones.
Yeah, I think so. It's a gland for sure.
Right, it's offal.
But yeah,
you're saying it tastes offal. Like I can't eat this. It's.
I mean,
offal?
I like them now. I like them fried or sautéed, which is often, you know, mostly how you see them. Serving them in a cream sauce, very, very old school, very French, old school preparation. And it was just gross to me.
Right.
Like I did not like that. But I wasn't really like a fussy eater as a kid. My sisters were, but I wasn't. And I'm very grateful that I grew up with him as my dad, because his whole thing was like, just try it. You don't have to eat it all. If you don't like it, just try a little bit and see what you think, you know? And he introduced us to all kinds of things. Like I remember like there was a phase where he was really into cooking Chinese food, like stir fries.
Wow.
And learning to make dumplings, which was hilarious because he had these like enormous meaty hands, like each of his fingers looked like a sausage. And to see him do that very delicate work was like really fun. Right. And then like sometimes we would do like a meat fondue, which is like you have like little pieces of steak or pork or whatever. And he would serve it with like a compound butter, which is like when you mash an ingredient in with the butter and mix it all nice. Right. So we would do like steak fondues with anchovy butter, which was like so wonderful.
Wow.
That was a fun kind of thing.
But
he was also very unpretentious. Like he loved Doritos. He loved like just a plain baked potato with salt on it and a little butter. Like,
right.
Yeah.
What is the similarity between cooking and writing comedy?
Oh gosh. Well, it is sort of technical.
Too many chefs.
Yeah, too many chefs can make a dish very, very muddy and also be incredibly annoying. But if you sort of know good techniques and you sort of prepare yourself and you take just the time it needs, not too much, not too little, then you're going to turn out something that is delicious.
Now, I'm not a chef. I can't cook.
Sure you can.
Well, that's right. The older I got, when I needed to cook for myself, I said, well, this is like comedy. And that is, what do you have that's good? What works? Okay, this is a fresh human carcass here that I just scraped off.
That you just, as your coroner gig, right?
Coronering, we call it. Cornhoring. And I said, well, okay, so this is fresh. This is good. Don't ruin it. What can you add to it that will enhance it and remind you that it's fresh? And I've learned over time, it's basically three things. You want to put 3 notes on it. My friend Leslie taught me that. You just want 3 notes. and then stop. Don't.
Wait, what are the 3 notes?
Well, you can decide whatever.
I see.
Whatever you want.
So you're not like salt, acid, fat.
Yeah, I saw that. That was interesting. On
Salt,
Netflix.
acid, fat, heat. Yeah, I have that cookbook too. It's great.
It turns out the acid is not LSD.
Sadly, no.
So I was doing it all wrong. Yeah.
I am tripping balls at every meal.
And when you go through something like this, which unfortunately, except for me, I am in complete denial. But
when you say go through something like this, what do you mean?
You know, death. Like I'm not going to die. I just not part of my.
Right.
That's not in my. Dick Cheney, when they said, "Why didn't you go to Vietnam?" He said I had other priorities, and that's how I feel about. You
have other priorities than dying.
I have things that have to be done, and it's not on my calendar. So
you haven't penciled it in?
I'm not penciling it in for a long, long time, and I don't think about it.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not.
Makes life easier when you don't think about that.
And I don't. I think there's some people, unfortunately, in this country who celebrate it and expedite it, and their politics reflect that. I think we have an apocalyptic death cult in Washington. What amazes me is how fragile relationships are when you're going through something like this, that it is an opportunity for people to act out every step of the way. The person dying, the people left behind, friends. It is a lesson in boundaries and what you learn what people are capable of doing and not doing. And you really have to learn to accept what people are strong enough to do and not strong enough to do. That was one of the things. But I don't know how humans
work.
I don't know how we are, for a misanthrope, I'm amazed how miraculous humans are, that we're not killing one another, that we're not at each other's throats. Mm-hmm. It's a miracle when you think of 500 million guns that we know of here in America. And the fact that when I walk around New York City, I keep thinking we should just be scraping people off the streets in New York City. How is it possible that, when I go for a walk, I'm not bringing a shovel to push the bodies out of the way? Well,
you can just wait till they come to your coroner's office. I mean, why be that zealous?
I make house calls as a coroner. I think.
I have to just sidebar for 1 second, yes, David, because I'm surprised that you describe yourself as a misanthrope, because I consider you one of the great appreciators of other people.
Guys who act real macho, but they're really gay.
Yeah, but some gay guys are just naturally macho.
But a lot of guys, they strut and they act in a certain way because they don't want anybody to know they're gay.
Okay, like overcompensating? I'm
overcompensating.
Oh, okay.
This is an act.
It's a facade. Okay, fair enough.
Yes, I don't want anybody to know how much hate lives deep inside of me.
Would you call yourself like an H.L. Mencken?
He didn't hate Jews as much as I do.
Oh, fair enough.
He was a pretty bad anti-Semite.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't Jewish.
No.
Oh, because Mencken. I mean,
I know. Menken's department store in Mad Men.
That's a not Jewish name.
I know. I was actually reading him about 4 months ago, and I couldn't believe how brilliant a writer he was.
Oh my God,
breathtaking.
So good. Incredible.
Yeah. What are you reading?
I just bought a book called Oh my God, what is it called? The Last Supper? Hold on, let me get it. 1 second. Sorry for the jaggedy.
Are you talking about the New Testament?
No, it's a novel. I just got two books from Amazon. Where's the other one? Shit. This is one of the ones I got. It's by
Mieko Kawakami.
Mieko Kawakami. It's called All the Lovers in the Night. Sounds intriguing. And then where's my other? Oh, I think it's in my backpack. Hold on, I gotta get it. I think it's called The Last Supper. I'm trying to open this with one hand. It's not going.
And does it take place?
No, it's not about Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Last Resort by Andrew Lipstein. Supposed to be very good.
All right. Great. Yeah. Fantastic. This is great. If people do?
Oh my gosh, the time is up.
I know. Let's see. David, how many days have you been wearing that same blue shirt? Wow. Are you the guy? There's somebody who keeps commenting on my colors. Somebody keeps sending me letters saying I'm an autumn or something, and I should wear.
Wow, so 80s. I
have like 4 shirts and I have like 3 pairs of pants that I don't really need anymore because my work.
Ever since he started Donald Ducking as a matter of principle.
Donald Duck doesn't wear pants. Is that what it's called? Donald Ducking?
Donald Ducking, when you wear a shirt and nothing else.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that.
But the shirt has to expose the downstairs region.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Most of my work is done from the waist up.
Woo!
The work that I do from the waist down, I can't talk about. But your mother, if you give me her phone number, she could be a beneficiary of that that expertise. This is great. I like this new schedule because I like ending Friday nights doing a recording session because it starts the weekend. So
indeed,
and people are anyway. Was there anything? I'm going to give you the last word, and then I'll ask you if you want me to plug something.
I have nothing to plug. Just living life. You know what I'll plug? Yes. Fostering a doggie and then adopting her.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what I'll plug.
It is real love, isn't it?
Yes. It's the best.
Yeah. I want a dog.
You should get one, David.
I think we talked about this. We had in my previous life,
mm-hmm.
at any given time, there were 3 dogs and 4 cats in my abode.
Mm-hmm.
And you go 25 years that way, there is something freeing. Just it's a responsibility. Sure. There was always somebody who needed to be fixed, and if you got it wrong, like I accidentally fixed my son and took my cat.
From what I hear, that's a good thing. Not to
those responsibilities. There comes a point where you go, wait, that's over. But I do want a cat. I do. The problem is I get one, and then I have.
It's like a snowball effect.
As long as you have one, economy of scale, why not get 20? That's how I used to be. There's plenty of room for more. Thank you, Colleen. Let's do this more often.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you, Colleen Worthman.
Shout out to the BMs.
The basement
masturbators.
Fantastic.
Much love as always.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You're listening to The David Feldman Show. You happy, self-actualized hump.